Friday Night Smackdown starts off with Tiffany Stratton. She was cutting a promo, but then gets interrupted by Alexa Bliss. They did the typical thing, what they typically do with Money in the Bank, where each participant or each person in the qualifying matches come out, cut a short promo that leads to a match. Did this with Alexa, did this with Charlotte, and then the match ended up starting. It was a solid back and forth, nothing too major. It was funny that Tiffany Stratton basically called Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair old, and she ends up saying that she's basically the new replacement, the new shiny toy, which I thought was funny. But we end up getting the qualifying match between Charlotte versus Julia for Selena Vega. This was a really good match. It was obvious who was going to take the pin here, but Julia picks up the victory as she should. It only makes sense. It doesn't make sense for Selena Vega to win, and Charlotte Flair doesn't need to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. So good job that they picked Julia to pick up the victory, which I do like. There was a segment afterwards where they end up having Alexa Bliss and Charlotte. They're still teasing that, whatever that's going to be, whether it's them teaming up or them eventually feuding. But it was a moment where Alexa Bliss was talking to her doll, even though she was talking to Charlotte, but that's what she ended up saying. And she ended up saying that this is why you need friends, so that way when things go bad, you have them to rely on. And then she ends up leaving, ends up mentioning Money in the Bank, but ends up alluding to Charlotte not being there, so she won't be seeing her at Money in the Bank, which was really good. This was overall really good. Love the way they start off the show. Glad that Julia's in the match, and I like the potential of the Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, whatever they're doing. Hopefully it's not a tag team. Hopefully it's just them eventually probably working together, then eventually leads to a feud. I'm fine with that. But long as it's not a tag team thing, I'm fine. But this was a good way to start the show. Afterwards, we end up getting Chris Sabin versus Tommaso Ciampa. Motor City Machine Gun's been feuding with DIY since they first arrived in WWE. Plus, Motor City Machine Guns constantly interfere, constantly in the way of DIY, eventually, trying to get the tag team titles back. This is a singles match. Tommaso Ciampa picks up the victory due to interferences of Candice LeRae, who makes her return. She ends up helping DIY. Very interested to see what they do with her, because it seems like the pairing of her and Nia Jax is no more. So I'm not mad at it. I like Candice LeRae. I think she's very underutilized and very underrated, and she should be used more. So hopefully this gives her more TV time. I don't know what that does for the women's division, since she's going to be helping DIY win matches. So I'm very interested to see what they do with that. But nonetheless, I like what they did here. Nothing too major, but I like that Candice LeRae is back on our TV. Then we get Michin versus B-Fab. I'm not versus B-Fab. Michin and B-Fab versus the Secret Harvest. This ended up starting due to them having a brawl earlier in the show. This leads to a tag match. Nothing too major again, but I do like that Michin and B-Fab are getting TV time. This feud itself has been okay. I think this could be a solid little mini feud. This mainly started due to the Secret Harvest harassing Selena Vega. Michin and B-Fab have been on the side of Selena Vega. They've been doing this like trio of a friendship type of deal, which I do somewhat enjoy. I think this could be a solid feud if they actually put time into it. So I don't see this ending, mainly because who else is Selena Vega going to feud with? Because she has no one else to feud with, unless you pair her with Candice LeRae in terms of the mid card, or Nia Jax. There's really no one for her to feud with, so I'm assuming this is going to continue. So hopefully it does. So we can have that continuation. Hopefully this can continue and actually build a story, because the potential is actually there with these three, and they don't need much TV time. This was not that long of a match, and the segment wasn't that long either. So they don't really need that much TV time. So I like it personally. Afterwards, we end up getting Jacob Fatu, JC versus Jimmy Uso and Ray Phoenix. This match really only got set up due to mainly them teasing Jacob and JC having friction, of Jacob not liking JC Mateo. That's the only reason why this match happened. I don't really understand why they needed this match to further that story when nothing really progressed. Everything kind of just stayed the same. I get what they were trying to do, but this was just more of a I'm gonna be honest, it was a waste of time. I'm gonna be honest with you, because they end up having another segment later on in the show where Jacob Fatu is in the Money in the Bank qualifying match, which is also very confusing as well, which I also don't really like, because I don't really like it, mainly because Jacob Fatu doesn't need Money in the Bank, and I feel like he should be like, I just don't know, and I don't even know if he even loses that match, because Jacob Fatu is like going to be the clear favorite, and if he's in a Money in the Bank ladder match, you can make an argument that he should win it, even though he has the U.S. title. So it's going to be very interesting. I get what they're doing. They're doing the whole Solo and Jacob thing, but did he really need to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match to progress that story? I feel like you could have progressed that story either way. Now, maybe they have JC cost him the Money in the Bank ladder match. Maybe they go that route, but don't really understand why you needed this match. I know why they did the match, but this was mainly to fill up time because they had nothing else, to be honest, because they didn't really need this match to really further the story. But during the match, they end up tagging each other out, but afterwards they end up just staring each other down after they picked up the victory. Nothing too much, but this is telling the story of eventually probably a JC and Jacob feud while after, probably after he feuds with Solo eventually. So we'll see how that plays out. After that, we end up getting R-Truth. He cuts a really good promo, mentions, the match at Saturday Night's Main Event, mentions John Cena, the change of character, how he isn't the same Cena he grew up watching, and that he misses that Cena and that he needs that Cena to change back to his old ways. He ends up saying that the reason why Cena changed was due to power. And basically, he ends up saying that he doesn't want to fight his childhood hero, but if he has to, in order to bring back the old Cena, then he will. This was a good promo. We know R-Truth is not winning, but it was a good promo nonetheless, and it should be somewhat entertaining. Now, the main thing we should be looking forward or looking at is are they going to show signs of babyface John Cena during the match or after the match? That's really the main thing that we're going to be looking at because John Cena isn't losing. We just got to see whether or not is he going to slowly turn more and more babyface after this match or during this match. So we'll see how that plays out. We end up getting another men's qualifying match for Money in the Bank. Shinsuke versus LA Knight versus Aleister Black. I'm not going to really go that in depth on this match. LA Knight wins. I feel like it was very obvious LA Knight was going to win. He was not going to lose. He's the most over in this entire group. People have been wanting him. They wanted him to win last year. Well, last year and the year before that. So we'll see if he wins it this year. I don't know if he will win it this year. It really depends on who's in it. Because if I would say this, if Carmelo Hayes is not, no, I don't believe it. No, I'm not even going to try to convince myself Carmelo Hayes is not winning. He might be the favorite. I'm going to be honest. He might be the favorite to win because I don't see who else will win it. The only other person I could possibly see is if Jacob is in the match or maybe Solo. But I feel like they kind of cancel each other out. So we'll see how that plays out. But LA Knight's in the match. He's probably going to be clear favorite and he's probably going to win it. So we'll see how that plays out. Then we get the main event. Fraxium versus the Street Profits for the Tag Team Championships. This match was great. Towards the end of the match, we end up getting the Wyatt 6 return. They end up cutting the lights off, and then they basically attacked everyone. I don't understand this, mainly because the Wyatt 6 whole entire gimmick is attacking people who betrayed their family. Nobody outside of DIY has betrayed their family. Fraxium have had friction before, but they never betrayed each other, so I don't understand that. Same thing with the Street Profits. DIY was also out there, if I'm not... Yeah, DIY was out there. They was trying to interfere, but Motor City Machine Gun stopped them. Yeah, I don't understand this. I don't really understand why did they attack the tag teams. I don't get it. It doesn't make much sense to me because they haven't betrayed anybody. So we'll see where this goes, but I don't understand why they attacked the Street Profits and Fraxon. That is throwing me off. We'll see where this goes. The faction itself has potential, but their booking has been kind of trash. I feel like they paired them with the wrong people to feud with. So we'll see where this goes. Overall, this SmackDown was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. It was an okay show. It's really being ruined by the 3 hours because it's really just stretching certain things out that shouldn't be stretched out. But overall, it was an okay show. But you guys let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.